Hi, and welcome to In Good Company, where each week we talk to good people doing great things and celebrate the beauty of connection by word of mouth. I'm your host, Davinia Roberts, and today I'm sitting down with Tess Garcia, a journalist, marketing strategist, and a writer for numerous publications and a host of a series on Cocina called Fit Check Food Check. She was passed the mic by New York fashion designer Edwin Reyes, and on today's episode, we talk about building a career across journalism and multicultural marketing, Latino identity, and what it actually costs to chase the life you want. At the end of each episode, our guests will pass the mic to someone in their circle, welcoming you into this growing web of friends of friends. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're here, you're in good company.
That is hilarious.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm with Tess Garcia,
Hello.
multi-hyphenate, journalist, strategist, and you were introduced to me by Edwin Reyes, right?
Yes, he made this scarf.
Oh, I
My
love
wonderful
the
Edwin.
tie-in. Yeah,
He's
tell me
amazing.
how you guys met each other.
That's a great question. I first heard about Edwin when he dressed the lead singer of a band called Chewy,
Okay.
who opened for Bad Bunny on his world tour that recently ended. They also did a bunch of guest spots at his residency in Puerto Rico. They were amazing. Went to that residency, saw them there, and the singer Loren was wearing a piece of Edwin's. And
Nice.
I follow the singer stylist on
Yeah.
Instagram and was just like, oh my God, hang on. This person's New York based. I need to just follow along with everything he's doing. And then from there, I was looking to feature a Puerto Rican fashion designer in a recent video article segment that I did. Edwin was the first person that came to mind. We connected through that and we've been friends ever since. That was, I think,
So cool.
January. So pretty recent, but he was great.
I love an organic kind of connection. I like that vibe. I
Right.
like what it is that you're doing. I want to amplify
Exactly.
that. And especially in New York, because New York is flooded with so many people, so many creatives, and I feel like everyone's stretched very thin. So when you make the connection and you keep the connection,
Yeah.
I feel like it's quite special, you know?
When you make a big place small,
Yes.
that's, yeah, that it's always worth it.
Yeah, I love it. So you've been in New York for how long now?
Almost 6 years.
And where'd you
From
move from?
Michigan, from Southeast
Midwest
Michigan,
girly.
very Midwestern, super, super. I had a friend visiting me a couple weeks ago from Michigan and love her so much. I've known her since we were 5. I rarely realize that the Midwest, Michigan specifically, has an accent until someone from there comes here.
Yeah.
And the way that her A's were so pronounced in certain words, I was just like, oh, hang on. I actually am getting at, I'm hearing what I normally don't hear when I'm at home. Because I
Yes.
just morph back into it when I go home.
Oh, exactly.
Without thinking
It's so
about it.
strange. It
Yeah.
just comes out. I have a funny story because I used to live in Minneapolis. And when I first moved there for a job, they were giving you this bag with all of this, just stuff in the inside.
Minneapolis stuff.
Yes. Here's your bag. You'll find all of these resources in the inside. And she kept saying, here's your swig bag. Didn't understand what she was saying. I was looking around at the table and I was like, wait a minute. What is a swig bag? What's a swig bag? But it was swag bag,
Yeah.
And that was the
That's
first
pretty
clock.
serious.
Yeah, that was the first clock in. But why did you move to New York? What brought you to the Big Apple?
So I graduated from college in 2020. And at that point, I had already spent several summers out here doing internships. I had done a couple of brief stints in high school where it's such a kind of random runaround way of getting at it. But I volunteered at a charity fashion show in Michigan in high school. And there was a team from New York that came in to help out with that.
Nice.
And they were like, if you're ever in town and want to help us out, we'd love to have you. And so, of course, at the time, I'm like 16 and I'm like, Mom, how do we get me to New York so I can help
Nice.
them out and not get paid any money, but go to New York for the first time?
Yes.
And my parents so kindly offered to send me as long as they knew where I was staying and were like comfortable with the people. I did that one summer for only a few weeks. But then since that point, a year did not go by without me coming to New York for some internship where I made up my
Yeah.
age and used a grant from
Yeah.
college to fund the life that I would not be able to afford as an intern out here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's the place that I've spent the most time
Yeah.
besides Michigan. And it was that way prior to me moving here. So I had a few years under my belt of just interning and living in various neighborhoods for a few months at a time and realized in 2020 that this was where I wanted to be. I already had a community of some sort out here from just getting to know people who lived out here full time when I was an intern. And I knew I wanted to go into journalism and media. And this was the point of 2020 where remote jobs were not fully a thing yet. When this was like July, August. I mean, I graduated in April and remote work wasn't seen as something that was permanent at that point. At least I didn't think it was that way. So in my head, I was like, well, I need to go where things are happening. That's New York. Where else am I going to go? If I don't leave Michigan now, I don't know that I'll ever leave. And I want to leave. I love to Michigan. I just wanted to leave. And yeah, I think that's more or less what really brought me out here. I said, I'm going to sublet. If I can find a job in the first few months, I'll stay. If I can't, I'll end the sublet. I'll write out the sublet and then just from there decide whether I want to give it another try in New York or move back with my parents and pause for a second.
Yeah. Wait, so did you study journalism in school or fashion? It seems like you've had maybe a little bit of both in your life for a while.
Definitely both for a while. I went to the University of Michigan and they don't have a journalism major. So I studied communications there. And I did a small major called social theory and practice alongside that, which was basically a poli-sci major where you could build your own curriculum around social issues that interested you, which was really cool. It was a great excuse to take classes across departments at the school that I wouldn't have necessarily been able to be enrolled in had I not had this major, because I could bypass certain prerequisite classes. If I was like, okay, this is 200 level or 300 level, I haven't taken the intro classes in this department of the school, but because I'm doing this major that combines a bunch of different departments, they're cool with me kind of picking and choosing. It was really fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, because typically it's like quite a narrow path and you just have to stick
You
in
have
this
to
one
check off
business
certain
school.
boxes. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you came because New York was your home away from home.
And because those stimulus checks were hitting.
My gosh. I know, what a weird time transitioning into the real world in 2020 and to go to one of the most expensive cities in America and just feel like I'm going for it. So why did you feel confident in pursuing this path?
Frankly, because I don't have student loans. I think that is the principal reason why I felt so sure of, even if it wasn't going to work out and I had to move back home, the risk of taking a sublet without a job and just seeing what happened from there was worth it. You know, I went to a school, I'm from Michigan, I went to the University of Michigan, got in-state tuition. And that is the only reason that I graduated without loans. Like that in-state tuition. Also, shout out to my grandpa who saved money for all of his grandkids if they went to school in state. It covered at least one semester of all of his grandkids.
Amazing.
Which is incredible. And he recently passed, and I've been thinking about that lately. He lived a very long life. He was 86. Like he was amazing. I really wanted to go to school out of Michigan. I wanted to leave so bad. I was so ready. I had already seen New York, you know. I felt like the internet had sort of globalized my brain in a way that the world directly around me didn't reflect yet. It was at that moment where social media was really starting to become something where the world felt so tiny. And I was like, I know how much is out there. I'm being exposed to it through this and I want to experience it. So I was really bummed at first that I was presented with the crossroads that so many people are of you go out of state and you take out 6 figures of loans, or you go where you can. And luckily for me, I had an amazing in-state school that was an option. That's not an option for everybody. And I do think that for one, that was a huge reason why I was able to come here and pursue my dreams. And also, I grew up in an upper class family. Like my dad's a doctor, mind you. Upper class in Michigan is very different. I have learned from here. Like my parents' mortgage is less than my rent. Like that's the truth. As much as I have a complicated relationship with money that I'm still working through, and freelancing has definitely brought it to light, I've never truly had to worry about money. And that allows me to move through the world in a way that I have friends who just can't. And that's something that I've become very cognizant of, especially getting to know a lot of native New Yorkers who either are debating whether it's worth staying where they were born and raised, or who can't debate it and have to leave.
Yeah.
It's
Such a
been really
shame that
illuminating.
that is, something that people have to think through,
Yeah.
especially here in New York City. Every time I come back, I feel like the city is changing so much. And I'm not trying to downplay the direction that the city is going, but it just changes ever so slightly. And then you're gone for a couple of years. And you're like, wow, I don't even recognize some of these neighborhoods because yeah, people are having to make that can you live there and maintain a decent quality of life. So I appreciate you being really open and
Of course.
honest and direct about
I
that
think we need
because
more of that.
we should talk about money more.
And it's
And we should,
okay.
yes, we should talk about money more. We should talk about where it is that we come from because I think the information is universally helpful.
Yeah.
And so when you moved here, did you have a full-time job?
No.
Okay, you were on the hunt.
I had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I had 1 bedroom in a 4-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
I had a dream. No.
Yeah. I had a boyfriend. I had a room and a dream.
stimulus check, a few stimulus checks to my name.
Yeah.
No student loans. And so I did feel, as much as one could feel in 2020,
Yeah.
that the world was my oyster.
Yeah.
As shut down as things were, it felt like, well, New York is going to be cheaper now than it was prior to the pandemic. I'm going to take advantage and move to this fancy neighborhood, Park Slope in Brooklyn, which I knew about already and was like, cool. I came in keeping in touch with a lot of people. I actually freelanced in college a little bit. I did some freelance writing. Sort of that came about after I saw a call for pitches from Teen Vogue that was basically saying we want our readers to pitch us story ideas.
Oh.
So I started to do that. And after probably 100 that didn't get any response,
Yeah.
1 got picked up. And that started a snowball effect in 2017. So my freshman year of college, I started to really, every few months I'd write a feature for somewhere like InStyle, Teen Vogue. And because of that, I had a handful of contacts, even beyond internship experiences, who I just kept in touch with fairly regularly in the editorial scene. That said, the summer prior to graduating, I interned at what is now People Inc., which at the time was Meredith Corporation. It's a publisher of People Magazine, InStyle. Magazines are changing so much right now that I'm like, what is still alive? What has merged?
Right.
I don't know, but those two are for sure there. Entertainment Weekly as well. Birdie, a handful of others.
Wait, what's Birdie?
Birdie it's like a beauty kind of magazine. You've definitely seen
I've probably
them.
seen it.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like an allure type of thing.
Yeah.
But under people's
I think this is something that I would love to like underscore for people because maintaining relationships is really huge. Maintaining a relationship now versus before. I remember I'm older than you, but I remember having to actually write thank you letters
I
to
still do
people
that,
in
do
the
that.
mail. And my first job out of college, I sent a postcard to the Urban Outfitters store in Santa Monica, thanking them for the interview because that was a merchandiser, and it was a postcard that I got from like the V&A Museum, like in London. So it was really cool. I was like trying to match the aesthetic,
The V&A Museum.
But it is just it's such an underrated, thoughtful thing. And now I think folks rely on Instagram and connecting that way, which isn't bad, but like, imagine what that would be like if you got a handwritten note. Let's bring it back to analog, people.
The job that I ended up getting when I moved to New York was on the team that I had interned with the previous summer at People Inc. It was the commerce department. So commerce editorial, meaning the 10 best vacuums money can buy right now. The reviewers are obsessed with this top. Here's why. I was writing those articles across a bunch of different magazines. And you know what? I wrote thank you cards to everybody that I interned with the summer before. It was like a 15-person team. And they all, when I got back on that team and went to the office, they all still had the thank you cards on their desks.
Nice.
So bear that in mind.
Hot tip.
It is hard these days, I will say, to know when, for me, as I meet more people, I'm like, is a thank you card, I don't know whether to write one in certain situations.
Sure.
And I should just get back into the habit of doing it more. It's something I'm trying to get back into. I'm in a community where thankfully we do a lot of favors for each other. There's a lot of mutual support.
Yes.
And because of that, it's made me wonder where I need to go out of my way to say thank you versus what is just them showing up for me as a human being. It's hard.
Yeah.
But that's beyond the professional setting and it's a tangent.
But I think, You follow your gut
It
on
never
what
hurts to write a
feels
thank you card.
on what feels right. If you'd like to send a note to
Yeah,
somebody, if you're thinking about them more than once, then just like go for it,
just send it. Yeah,
But I love that just in the context of this podcast too, being you are the company that you keep. And I think
yeah,
sometimes people step in. It doesn't mean that they have to be this person that you're engaged with all the time, but open your mind that this could be somebody that could be supportive of you, future facing. It's a less like icky way of networking. It's just organic and sort of like an honest way of connecting with people. So I love that. So you ended up working for the folks that you interned with. And then I'm just really curious on like when you landed a full-time gig for writing or strategy. Were you in search of that when you moved to New York City, or was it just let me just live this freelance writer journalistic life?
at the time, I was in search of that. I didn't believe really that I could make a full-time living
Mm,
freelancing, and there was also the question of healthcare. So my parents'
yes.
healthcare, even though I was young, stopped covering me
Mm,
when I moved to New York. It
gotcha.
doesn't cover people outside of the state of Michigan, which is crazy because my dad is a doctor, so if his healthcare can't cover his dependent
Imagine.
out of state, whose can?
Hmm.
That said, I was really like, I need healthcare. I don't Didn't cross my mind even to be full-time freelance.
Yeah.
It was, I'm gonna find a full-time job, ideally in editorial, but if it's not in editorial, then I'll find a full-time job elsewhere and continue to write freelance on the
Mm,
side. So, yeah, and luckily, truly the only reason there was an opening on the team I interned with was because
mhm,
someone went on maternity leave
mm,
and ended up not wanting to come back to the job.
mhm.
So I think it was a situation there was a hiring freeze. Like there wasn't many places at
Right.
that time. I was told good luck finding a job in any industry, let alone media right now. And I had kept connections open with this e-commerce editorial team that I'd interned with, and they needed a backfill. And that
Yeah.
was truly the only reason that they had space for me.
And so was this was a full-time job as a writer
Yes.
for a magazine?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was a
amazing.
handful of magazines. So it was a centralized team where we would
Mm,
write across a few people at the time, real simple in style, sometimes Better Homes and Gardens, really wide Entertainment Weekly, a wide variety of things.
probably helpful to have in the beginning a wide variety, really learn a lot from 4 different people or
Totally.
understanding the the market for each magazine.
Yeah.
So how did you transition from focusing on journalism to then going into strategy, marketing strategy? And were you only focused on Latino or Latin focused marketing strategy? Was it broader marketing strategist?
It's a great question. I do think this is a really interesting pivot point because it's not one that I planned for any of
Mm,
those. I didn't plan to enter the world of marketing strategy. I was just open to it. And the same deal goes for marketing specifically to Latino audience segments.
okay.
It was something I was always passionate about and interested in. And it's
Hmm.
something that I pursued a lot more on the freelance writing side. Like
Hmm.
if I was really passionate about a particular musician, maybe I'd pitch an interview with them or a feature on something coming out of Latin communities. That's something that I was doing a lot more on the side. It wasn't a part of my full-time gig until I made it part. People Inc. also owns a magazine called People in Español, or did at the time.
Oh,
And I would occasionally do Spanish language commerce articles for them. And that was
amazing.
it was something that I picked up on the side because I wanted to. I was
Yes.
also part of an ERG employee resource group called Hola there, which
Mm,
was a fun way to get to know Latino
mm,
employees from
mm,
across the company.
mhm,
So I think in that sense I was involved, but it
mhm.
wasn't a part of my formalized job description
Gotcha.
at People Inc. And I pivoted into marketing strategy when I got ping on LinkedIn, which I don't want to yuck anyone else's yum. Just
Yeah.
don't use LinkedIn. I'm not a LinkedIn girl. I'm not a LinkedIn influencer. To each their own. If it works for you, great. I just personally have never gotten
Mm,
opportunities from it. And
mhm,
I know people who have, so that's awesome.
mhm.
Well, actually, no, I got one opportunity. I'm about to tell you about it. But
Let me tell you, here it goes.
whoops, forgot. This was a LinkedIn message that I got from one of the leads of brand voice at Victoria's Secret,
Mm,
who said, we're looking for someone with an editorial background to come in on our brand voice team and specifically help with bringing Victoria's Secret's copy to a young audience. They were really coming off of the scandals of everything at that time. They had canceled the fashion show, I think, the year prior.
Oh, wow.
So this was like
a brand refresh.
it was a brand
real,
refresh moment. They had just appointed a new creative director.
Mm.
It was very much them trying to get into a post Me Too world. And I went out for the interview. It was I believe the initial proposal was a $20K pay bump from my job at the time. This was a year and change after I'd started my full-time job at People Inc. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to come back to my current job, counter with this. If they can match it, maybe I need to think harder before pivoting. But I'm open to this because why not? They told me that we can bake it into my contract that I can write freelance on the side as long as there's no conflict of interest.
Yeah, love
and I
that.
said, great, like I'll try this out. I ended up only being there for about 5 months at Victoria's Secret, not because I had any issues with it, but because Netflix reached out. And that was a moment where they were sort of just plucking people with editorial backgrounds for their multicultural work. And that's where I really entered the multicultural marketing space with their team called Con Todo, which is effectively their US-based Latino social media presences, which is a mouthful of saying they have sort of fan communities on Instagram, across social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, where they pretty much uplift shows and movies on the platform that have everything to do with the communities they want to really speak to.
It's fascinating that that is really a focus in a lot of big companies now, is really very audience specific targeting. I worked in marketing in that way too, supporting some audience work. And I'm curious what you learned about marketing strategy in big spaces like that. I'll start there.
I still do some marketing work of that nature. I do some part-time freelance strategy for Amazon Prime's videos, similar account, Primero Latino, which is their answer to Netflix's Con Todo. I've done it for HBO's Palante Max, which is their answer to both of those accounts. Everybody has their version of it. I think what I have learned is that there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen to get a meme into the world. And I don't know how I feel about that in terms of, I'm glad everybody's employed. They should be, but there is such valuable work that we could be doing. And the gatekeepers that are hiring people for these departments in the C-suites and so on, underutilize people and underpay them, mind you. They have them working crazy hours in-house at these companies to do things that aren't as important as the work that they could be doing. They're working, they're creating these memes, they're churning them out. They're occasionally asked to make things that fit into the box of what I call Taco Bell humor, which is just like, you're Latino when, and then some stereotype. But what I found is really successful. I can only speak to my experience working to market toward US-based Latinos, specificity. If you say, people from Nicaragua will understand this, and then you list something specific to that experience, that's going to do much better than a post that says Latinos will know. Because not every post is going to be about Nicaragua, but that one will be. And the next one maybe is about Mexico. The next one's about a specific community in Puerto Rico that's represented in a title on Netflix. Really getting to segmenting segments of the audience. There's a huge fear that it won't pay off or that it's alienating to other sectors. But if we really want to speak to people, we have to speak to them, and we can't just speak to the air above them because they checked up Latino on a census.
And that was one of the things that I was curious about with you too, because I feel like the broader community of Latinos, I mean, there is a range. You can't say, oh, we're going to market to the Latino population and just put one thing out into the stratosphere and think that it's going to register with everyone. I feel like that is a nuance across most cultures.
Any diaspora.
How do you manage working through that as the person that's responsible for representing the community?
I think I try to get as granular as I'm allowed to in every role that I play in terms of speaking to Latinos. Usually in the US, that tends to be, you're not really Latino till you leave Latin America. Then that's what you're identified as. You're Argentine when you're in Argentina. You're Nicaraguan in Nicaragua. You're not,
I've actually never heard anyone say that directly. And yes, you're so right.
I mean, you
have an identity in the place that you're from, but you step into this labeling when you leave your country.
It's a member of diaspora.
Yeah.
It's like AAPI. You're Asian American Pacific Islander. But maybe you're Samoan. And that's a very different experience than a Chinese American, than a third generation Japanese American. these are all such different experiences that go underneath one umbrella.
So I think be brave in those spaces to stand up for the people and what you're there to be, what you're there to represent.
I try, particularly in the writing side of things, where it's a lot less corporate than, doing copy for Amazon Prime Video. There are certain things I'm not going to present political opinions as much as I'd like to, obviously, in an Instagram post about the Spanish dub of Shrek. But with things like, for example, I just published a story for Playboy about an amazing archivist who preserves the history of vedettes or showgirls in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I found it really important to detail the difference. I mentioned throughout the article, Latin American and Caribbean showgirls, because I'm very aware of the fact that there are people in the Caribbean who technically are Latino, that's part of the Latin American region, but they identify as Caribbean because that feels way more specific to them than lumping them in with South America, for example, which they might not have a lot in common with certain areas of that aren't on the Caribbean coast. I feel like it's super important. The Caribbean experience is a really unique one. And even within that, there's so many unique experiences. Yeah. But for me, that felt like a small way semantically to assert the specificity that people deserve and to prevent us from being viewed as a monolith in every small way that I can.
Yeah. I love it. We need more of that.
We all do. And it's worth the extra 5 minutes of specifying who you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for doing that on behalf of...
Oh my God, of course. In that way, I'm like living the dream. I am being the change I want to see in the world in that way. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a white Latina doing that. And there's a lot to be said about who gets to make those changes in these spaces. And that's a whole other can of worms that we need to get more into as a culture, as far as who we allow to. When I say it's important, we're specific and people believe me, but if someone who doesn't look like me says that it's important that we're specific, do we write them off? I think it's different when it comes from the voice of someone who's a part of like the ruling class, in terms of me being a white woman first and Latina as an ethnic marker.
Wait, this is reminding me. I think I watched one of your videos and it said that you learned Spanish at 18.
Yes.
Right?
So my dad was born in Argentina. In his childhood, spent time between Argentina and Michigan. Okay. But he has, by and large,
why Michigan?
That's a great question. Yeah. Why Michigan?
I'm like,
can someone tell me
the distance?
I would like to know, because to this day, I'm not really sure.
The distance, the temperature, tell me.
Night and day. I do know my grandpa had finished medical school, and there was an opportunity to come to Michigan. They were looking for doctors at the time. Don't know if there were other states offering, because if there were, I don't know how we'd...
Yeah.
I don't know why they would have chosen Michigan over other states. Maybe the pay was really good. Maybe the hospital, maybe someone spoke to him from the hospital. So they moved to Michigan. That's where my dad has spent most of his life. I've heard it said a few times that the first generation to immigrate, or those children, don't necessarily feel that desire or need to go back to their roots as much as someone like me who's a generation removed. I've heard it a few times from friends who... I have a friend who's Puerto Rican, and, she didn't grow up speaking Spanish either. Her dad isn't really he's now getting more involved in unpacking what aspects of his life have been informed by that heritage. He was not born in Puerto Rico, but his parents were, and he spent most of his life in the US. But my friend, his daughter, is really interested in exploring her heritage. And it seems like there's sort of once it skips a generation and kids of these adults who were once immigrants themselves or had to deal with the real repercussions of being of a different culture at a different time. I think since we haven't been as confronted with that necessarily.
Yeah, the curiosity.
We're curious. We're like, hey, we never got answers about XYZ. Why don't I know why my family ended up in Michigan? I don't really know. And I'm getting curious about things like that for sure. And I think also the language desire definitely came. It was partly fueled by shame, I think, as it is in a lot of people. Yeah. There's a term in Spanish-speaking Latin American cultures, if you're a kid of immigrants, second generation, a little removed, and you don't speak Spanish, they call you a no sabo.
No sabo?
Which is a way of saying...
like you don't understand.
You don't understand, but it's like a double humor, because no sabo is the incorrect way of saying I don't know. The correct way is no sé. No sabo is like, not only do you not know, you're doing it wrong. You're saying, I don't know, and you're conjugating incorrectly. You're like, I don't even know how to tell you that I don't know. I have cousins in Argentina who I had always wanted to get to know better, who I'd met a couple times. And I went to Argentina once growing up and was like, I can't communicate with these people. That's crazy to me that we are as related to them as we are to my mom's family, who we see at every holiday, who is from Saginaw, Michigan. I feel like not robbed of an experience, but it feels like there's an experience I could be having that I'm not. What can I do about it?
Okay, we have to show some love to the folks that make this show possible. Today's episode is brought to you by Studio Bonded, the design studio that builds brands that bond with the senses. If you're into thoughtful design made by talented people who really care, then you're in good company. Check them out at studiobonded.com. We're back. Let's rejoin the conversation with our guests.
And there was a really amazing program. It still is at the University of Michigan. It's an intensive language program. It's pass-fail, which is amazing because it really allows you to immerse yourself in getting to digest and process what you're learning and not just worry about regurgitating answers. Like I truly feel like I synthesized what was going on because of that program. It was like 4 days a week, a couple hours every single day, different types of classes, grammar, and then reading comprehension. And then we would have lunch hours a few days a week where we could only speak in Spanish. It was the most valuable thing I did in college, hands down. I never would have thought that it would open career opportunities for me. And again, there's a lot to be said about being a white woman, getting to have bilingual opportunities, kind of a fun party trick when I have it. But then when people who were raised in these cultures speak Spanish at work, they might not be received well. But I mean, it's open doors in that I can interview people who don't speak English. I can read Spanish. I can write in Spanish. Honestly, at this point, probably better than my dad, which is crazy. He speaks better than me, but that's a different. But the writing aspect has been really immensely valuable. And I've created connections with family members who it's just is like, for example, one of my aunts, I love her so much. And whenever I go to Argentina, I usually stay with her. And when I say aunt, she's like related to my dad, but she's not my dad's sister.
Auntie.
Yeah, she's the universal auntie aunt. Exactly. She and my mom would get along so well, but they don't speak each other's language. And to me, it's like I'm so lucky that I know them both and know them both well enough to be like, I see so much of both of you in each other.
Yeah. That's really cool. And so I think if I'm remembering your interview correctly, you were saying something about like not being able to communicate with like your grandmother, something like that, but you were, understood her food and you understood that. And I just thought that was so beautiful, especially because of what it is that you do now and your platform on Cocina. That you're bridging the gap. You like learn the language and you're talking style and you're talking about food and those mashed together. And so I just think it's a beautiful, even though maybe you didn't know that that's where you're going to end up. It's like all of these little breadcrumbs led you to that.
Thank you. That's a really good way of putting it. It is a culmination of a lot of work, but also just a lot of what is baked into who I am and what aspects.
What you enjoy.
Exactly.
Tell me if I'm butchering this, but Cocina, would you characterize it as like a lifestyle website for Latinos? And so it's food, it's culture, it's wellness. And you have a series on there called
Fit Check, Food Check.
And so tell the people about it. It's very cool.
So Cocina is a really amazing platform that is anchored around taste in Latino communities. So food is the first angle through which they view that, but they extend to other areas of lifestyle content, fashion, music, wellness, all sorts of things. And they gave me the opportunity to build a series with them from the ground up. Last year, again, from a former manager, actually, at a full-time role, she connected me with this amazing editor there, Sarah. Sarah asked me if I could do anything for Cocina, what would it be? And I said, what if we put together a video and article series where we talk about how a person's heritage influences their taste in food and fashion and everything in between that naturally comes up when you talk about those things. And Fit Check, Food Check was born. I've had a lot of creative freedom and it's been a really beautiful monthly series where we've been able to tap into the great aspects of social first video and a more in-depth article with a single guest, which
Yeah.
is really great because it gives them an opportunity to kind of have those more clicky moments that you
Right.
put in a reel simultaneously alongside a more nuanced take on whatever it is they're trying to plug in that moment, which lives in the written article on Cocina's website.
So did you have this idea and it was something that you were looking for a home for it, or it
Nope.
came inspired from what Cocina was about?
It came inspired from
That's
Cocina
amazing.
and the desire I've had to do more on camera work. And I said, how can I make this opportunity that I'm being given that's effectively a blank canvas work for what I want in my career? Give me an excuse to talk to amazing people, which is what got me interested in journalism, I think, and eat really good food that I can write off on my text.
Yeah. Just put it all together
Yep.
in a sandwich and you're like, this is my life
In
sandwich.
a literal
and I'm going
sandwich.
to enjoy every bite of
And
it.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to describe your style as a plate of food, what would it be?
Ooh, I think my style. Oh, this is so specific.
I know, because
can't
I was like,
wait.
wait a minute. I was like, you're always like talking to incredible people and then you bite into something delicious or you're talking about
Yeah.
food. And I'm like, well, you tell me, like, what is the plate of food that you would describe your personal style?
There is a side of the road empanada lady in my family's town in Mendoza, Argentina. Argentina, if I'm being serious, but that feels crazy.
No, do it.
I
Please
grew up
be
saying
serious.
Argentina,
Please
so I'm
be
going to say
serious.
Argentina.
No.
Whatever. There's a lady who cooks in a traditional outdoor oven. She bakes these empanadas that are traditional of the style of the region of Mendoza. They are baked. They have beef. They have egg. They have olive. Those are not things I normally like together. I'm anti-olive generally, which is a hot take. In this empanada, I can't tell you why. It's the way that the dough is made. I think there's probably lard in it somewhere.
Sure.
Everything good with me in it has lard. It is the most amazing combination of flavors I have ever had. And you get it waiting in line on the side of a dirt road in a paper bag.
Love it.
I think that's my
I love it. It's portable, you know?
It's casual. It's adaptable.
Yes.
You can deliver it to someone at a fancy restaurant and they'll understand it, or you can eat it standing on the side of the road and you'll understand it.
It's delicious.
I can taste it now. It's only there. It's a certain kind of oven, a certain recipe of the dough.
If only
So
she
good.
knew.
I wish I did.
You know?
I'm kind of glad I don't, though. And I'm kind of glad. That's how I feel about my style. I don't really know why I want to wear certain things some days, but I just do.
Yeah. There is a segment on your show. I didn't tell you I was going to do this. Nice.
Exciting.
So I watched on some of your show where you ask this or that questions to people.
Love it.
And so I'm going to regurgitate some of your this or that, but then I also put in my own.
Fun.
Because I was like, I'm curious about your answers to some of these.
Excited.
So it's just a few and we'll just rapid fire. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Silver or gold?
I like a mix. I'm annoying. I
Mixed
love mixed metals.
Me too.
Sorry, I'm wearing gold.
Yeah,
today,
me too.
but
I'm gold and silver.
Girl.
Yeah. Okay. This one I thought was really funny. Crying or twerking?
This question I wrote specifically with a friend in mind who, her name's Camila Ramon. She's an amazing Argentine Peloton instructor. And she talks about how she does both and she needs both to survive. I think today it's 65 degrees and sunny in New York. I'm going to say twerking if there was ever a day to do it.
Listen, in the sun. Twerking in the sun. Okay. Matcha or coffee?
Coffee. I mean, I have coffee.
Yeah.
Sorry. My brother's a huge matcha guy. Cafe manager.
Yeah.
Makes amazing matcha and would hate that I just said coffee, but it's matcha.
Sorry,
for
brother.
him and coffee for me.
Sorry, brother. How do you take your coffee?
Today, iced with a little bit of oat milk. That's a good summer thing. If it's really good coffee, I'll drink it black. But iced, I'll usually put a little splash of something in
Yeah. I love coffee. Coffee.
If my mom's seeing this, she's like, no, she gets a triple vanilla latte with oat milk and whipped cream and sprinkles. Because when you ask if I want coffee, Mom, I get everything on top because I'm like, if she's paying,
load it on.
Yeah. Whatever that scene from White Chicks, I have the steak with the extra onions smothered in butter or whatever it is. Exactly.
This was also a favorite of mine. Would you rather date a modern comedian or a court jester resurrected from the Middle Ages?
So I do stand-up comedy for fun. That said, I'm going court jester.
Wow. All the
Mm,
court jesters
well,
in the
actually,
house, with or without the hat.
like the
now.
hat. A modern comedian in the hat. Well, I could do that.
Mash up once
I
again.
could do the hat.
I love it. Texting or voice notes? That's a question for me.
Voice notes. I'm so sorry. I can't. My friends type so fast, and I didn't think I typed slow. But if we're texting in real time, I'm like, I can't respond to you.
Yeah, voice
You're
note.
moving on to the next thing before I even hit send on my text.
You're like, reply
No.
reply to this
Sometimes
one.
I just let them go, and then I sit for 10 minutes, and I'm like, I'm gonna send a 30-second voice note that addresses all of the above, and you're gonna hate me for it. Read the transcript if you must.
So
Voice
funny.
note.
Yeah, I love a voice note too. What was the last one that I have? Oh, same shoes or same jewelry on every date?
Same jewelry, because I am not really. I think it's a habit I picked up from playing sports my whole life. I don't live in jewelry. Like, I will take it off before I shower. I don't sleep in jewelry. It's not something that I always have on. I have to consciously remember to put on jewelry. Whereas shoes, if I'm leaving the house, I got them on. And I don't know what we're up to on a date. If we're going to a fancy restaurant, I'm going to wear something different than if we're doing archery
Right.
on the feet.
Archery, hot
Specific.
date tip.
Let's go. Let's go. Don't be shy. If a court jester wants to take me to archery.
If there is a court jester out there that could make a really delicious iced coffee and wants to go on an archery date, I don't know.
And I'll wear the same jewelry on every date, but the shoes will be ready for archery.
Yeah, I love this. Thank you for playing along.
Man, of
with
course.
that.
Thank you. That was so fun.
Yeah. I'm really curious about what's next with Christina because there's episodes that are on there. I'm learning a lot about people that I don't think I would have ever discovered on my own.
Which
so
I
that
love.
is, yeah, I think that is the part that's really beautiful. It's just I'm learning about new food places. I'm learning about other people, like musicians that I haven't been exposed to. So what's next for Christina?
We have a really amazing episode that will be out by the time this is out. I'm almost certain. Comes out first week of May. This amazing Dominican singer named Letompe is a recent feature of mine. He was just in town for her Golosa tour, which is an amazing word that she's kind of coined. I mean, it's a real word, but it's a word that she's adapted for this era of her discography and tour, where basically she's like, we are taking advantage of everything, doing everything to the fullest, like doing what we want, eating what we want, saying what we want, and taking up space is sort of the ethos. I saw her show in the West Village on Saturday. She was amazing. And then we got lunch Sunday and chatted for Fit Check, Food Check. And it was so fun and a really cool way to kind of see someone both in their element in multiple ways, you know, on stage and then off stage, but talking about the things she's most passionate about.
Yes.
So,
what kind of music?
it's interesting. She calls it electropical. So like electronic, tropical.
Wow.
It's got a bit of she also calls it certain songs dembow, which is a mix of dembow, which is that Dominican classic. If you know El Alfa, the biggest musicians coming out of the Dominican Republic right now, I would say, are mostly in the dembow space. It's reggaeton adjacent. She does a little bit of a mix of that with some sort of New York house vibes that are reminiscent of the kind of music you would hear in ballroom culture.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool. Her lyrics are great. I love her most recent album, Golosa. Would highly recommend the song Madruga, song Granada, if you're looking for entry points for Le Tompe. We talk about both of them in the episode of Fit Check, Food Check, in the article and in the video. And it was a really fun hangout.
Yeah.
And I think with every episode, we're getting a little closer to narrowing in on what sets this series apart, which is just a comfortable space for someone to maybe view their own creativity from an angle they haven't been asked to before. The angle of their tastes.
Yeah, I love that.
In food, in fashion.
And it's something that I think most oftentimes you don't really have to articulate because your taste in food is what you consume. Your taste in fashion is what you consume
wear.
and what you wear. And so it's nice to be able to give people the opportunity to like be a little bit introspective on why do I like this? What is it about this that like makes me me? And so tell me the website for Cocina is.
Yep, it's wearecocina.com.
We'll put it like
and their
here.
handle is also We Are Cocina. I collab with them on all of our posts for Fit Check, Food Check on socials, so you'll see them that way. And Links will be in their bio, in my bio, as every episode comes out.
Right on.
I have an episode that is not quite confirmed yet, but we've almost locked in. And if we do confirm it, it will be humongous. So keep an eye out.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited for you.
Like, it would be like a dream come true, like, guest who I've been a fan of forever. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
We're sending out the good vibes for it. You have been doing this for how long now?
First episode was in November, so not that long. It's been
not even a year.
Yeah, it's been about 6 months.
Oh.
I've had 6 months worth of episodes. Had people with heritage that lies in Argentina, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. We have someone coming up from Colombia. We've got somebody from Mexico coming up.
Beautiful.
It's really cool.
I mean, congratulations. 6 months, you're getting somebody that you've been like a super fan of.
They
That's
reached
major.
out to me too.
That's
and I was
even
like,
better. You're like, yes.
I didn't even ask because I figured you would not want to. But the fact that you're asking me,
yeah,
it's a yes from me.
That's amazing. So are you doing freelance? You're just freelance
Right now I'm full-time freelance, correct.
Amazing. And how long have you been doing freelance full-time?
This time, this is the second iteration of me doing full-time freelance since mid-January. So it's only been a few months.
Yes.
Definitely less than a year.
Yes. And are you feeling like freelance is the way for you of the moment?
Of the moment. I think I'm not opposed to a full-time job. I just think right now I have so many interests, thankfully, that can pay my bills. And yeah, I'm making less money than I did in my full-time job, 100%. But I don't feel like I'm in a chapter of my life where I need to maximize my income at every imaginable turn just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
I think I need a second to recalibrate and really pour into the things that I'm passionate about that are paying my bills, but I have to put more time and effort into them in order to really grow them to a place where maybe they can be a source of income to the extent that my full-time job prior to this was.
Will you talk a little bit about what that feels like for a freelancer to be on the drive to like have reoccurring work? It's not an easy feat, especially being in New York City.
As a very rule-following person by nature, it feels like it goes against a lot of my instincts. I had to fight against a lot of what I thought I believed in terms of what success meant and what stability meant
What did success mean before you were doing, or what is it that you're battling against in terms of like what you thought success meant?
I think there's this idea of making as much money as you can. And if you like what you're doing even a little, wow, how lucky are you? That was sort of the mentality of, had a 6-figure job, why would you leave that? And I think I have come to a place where I'm like, I left it because I can. That's amazing. I think that's what I've been viewing as the accomplishment of feeling like I had the freedom and stability to make a decision that might be inherently less stable than that full-time job. But at the same time, nothing is ever fully set in stone, as full-time as a job might seem. They could lay you off any day. Not to be like that, but it's true in any industry.
Happens to me.
It's happened to me. Exactly. And it's one of those things where, because I was full-time freelance prior to this, I was full-time freelance for about a year and change, 2022 to 2023. After being laid off from Netflix, after 4 months of working at Netflix, because love when people hire everybody, fire everybody in less than half a year. I learned in that year a lot about what works for me in terms of creating my own schedule, what I need to feel productive to create separation between work and life to the extent that feels safe, and what I need in order to feel stable financially. And I think that was really empowering going into the second round of this time leaving my job by choice, knowing that I've done it before, and all the times where I thought my world was going to close in around me, it didn't the previous time that I was full-time freelance. So I had this prior experience that informed my ability to take certain risks and know that even if the worst case scenario happens, which is I go broke, I can figure it out.
Yeah, it's the golden handcuffs are real. That saying, and if you're not familiar with the saying, it's like you feel you're in this role and you're getting a good salary and you feel like you have to stay there because, I'm not going to be able to make this salary anywhere else.
My parents didn't work so hard for me to leave this amazing job that I also worked hard for. Like, it feels like
Yes.
people might judge you. People
Mhm.
still ask me, like, they're like, how's unemployment treating you? And I'm like, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't
Yeah.
know. And unemployment is, listen, I have I've been laid off. I know what unemployment is like. This is not that.
Yeah.
And it would, if it were, totally different conversation.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
It is really interesting. I think you won't regret chasing something
Never.
that you enjoy if you can and you feel like you can provide for your own needs. You won't regret the experience of
Absolutely.
spending your time doing things that you enjoy. And I feel like a part of these conversations, it's about like amplifying people that are just doing that. It's becoming more and more common,
Thank
but
goodness.
I know, but just because of being able to work remotely, being able to have a little bit more access technology is definitely helping us. I love that you're able to explore that
Thank
and
you.
build. Anything else coming up in that sphere that you're excited about?
I'm still writing for Playboy a good amount. I
Mhm.
don't know what assignments are next for me, but be on the
Mhm.
lookout because every time I write something for them, I learn so much.
Oh,
And so I can
interesting.
only imagine what people reading learn.
Yeah.
It's been really eye opening
Yeah.
as a female journalist to be writing somewhere that's, I mean, historically so geared toward a straight male perspective. I've really had a great time. So be on the lookout for some stuff from Playboy. I've been doing a lot of what I call edutainment style content on TikTok.
Mm.
So it's educational. It's essentially pitches, journalistic pitches that never got approved or never made
Mm.
it out of my inbox.
Mm.
Things that I'm like, I know that this is a great idea. Maybe the editors that I work with don't have the bandwidth to take it up. Maybe they don't have the budget. Maybe it's
Mhm.
not a good fit for
Mhm.
whatever reason. I'm going to make a little TikTok about it. I'm making a lot of those because I'm like, there's
That's so
so much
cool.
noise out there. This is fun for me to do.
Mhm.
It's the kind of thing I like to watch. Why don't I just kind of try my luck? And
Yeah.
I got a brand deal through it, which is
No
so exciting.
way.
Yeah, in June I have a fun little paid partnership going on that feels super organic to what I do naturally. And my experience working in social marketing full time in my last role was part of why I was able to negotiate a contract I was comfortable with for this brand deal.
It's
And that I
wonderful.
never thought that that would come back to really help me out in
Yes.
that way.
Yes. So, I mean, hot tip, do what it is that you love and try to do it without any, inhibitions because you never know who's
And
watching or
yeah, you never know how your previous experiences will inform
Mhm.
or will help you
Mhm.
to do things like negotiate a contract once you have been putting yourself out there.
So I have one last question on our pre-interview questionnaire. One of the questions I ask is, what is a question that you wish people would ask you more often? And so I'm going to ask you your question.
I forgot what I wrote, so I can't wait. Can't wait.
It says, what do you love most about yourself?
Oh, I was really in a mood when I
I
wrote
know that's
that.
very sweet, though.
That's
I like it.
sweet.
So, Tess,
Hmm.
what do you love most about yourself?
I love that I can put people at ease. But as I say that, I do have an issue where I put other people's needs before mine inherently in a lot of ways. That can get toxic. But on the other side of it, part of why that's been a struggle for me is because there are parts of it I don't want to get rid of. One of which is I love being in a position to make people feel comfortable telling me their story. From a
Yes.
journalistic perspective, I love being able to put my friends at ease to say whatever they want to me about what they're feeling, what they're going through, and knowing that I won't come to them from a place of judgment and I will ask them what they want or need from me in a moment. And
Yeah.
they know that I can give them advice if that's what they want. I can just listen if that's what they want. I can agree with every word if that's what they want. I do think I have a skill of making people feel very comfortable when they
Yeah.
talk to me. And that's something that I will never take for granted. I think
Yes.
it's helped me make a huge city small and keep a community that I just love so much.
That is a
Thank
gift.
you.
That is a really special gift that most people do not have. Not a lot of people have. So I love that. At the end of each episode, I like to ask three questions. Haven't come up with a name on what this would be. The final three, the big three,
I like the
but
big
it's the
three.
big three. Okay, we're going to close with the big three. So the first question is, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Tess Garcia. I am a journalist, marketing strategist, sometimes stylist, all the time this.
Yeah. I'm Tess Garcia all the time.
That's true.
Tess Garcia, what do you need?
I need I need on-camera journalistic opportunities. I'm ready for them. I am doing the work, have been doing the work for 10 years now, which is crazy to say on the journalistic side of things, but I need a door to open. I know what to do once I get in there.
Answer the call, people. She's ready. Okay. And last, what do you have to offer?
I have a listening ear. I have empathy. And I think the combination of those that I have, both naturally and that I've built up through a decade in journalism and just through existing in whatever's going on right now, prepares me to take on new opportunities, but also to help other people through their journeys entering the media space, entering spaces where they have to speak publicly more, have to conduct interviews. It allows me to empower people who want to be empowered and ask for help.
Okay, she's ready for her close-up media opportunities. So tag the folks, let's support each other and reach out if you need some support in any way.
I'm right here.
Journalistic, media support, the journey. She's in New York, people. Thanks so much for doing this. It was so nice to meet you. I love it so much. And then we will see what happens next. Can't wait to see your next article.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Yay! Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of In Good Company, a podcast where we celebrate the beauty of connection and the magic of word of mouth. In Good Company is brought to life by my pod squad. That's Danielle, Dweck, copy and creative consultant, Fukiko Machado, financial operations, Alex Perez, design lead from Studio Bonded, Kyle Murdock, mix and sound design, and me, the creator and host, Davinia Roberts. The views shared by our guests are their own and are offered as inspiration and information only. To stay connected, follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share this episode with someone you love. It helps more good people find us. For full episodes and behind-the-scenes moments, find us on YouTube and Instagram at ingoodcompany.thepod or visit ingoodcompanythepod.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember, if you're here, you're in good company.